Hello, it's Sonia from The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. Today for this project we are using a J hook or 6mm hook, and I will be using two different colors, worsted weight yarn number 4, and you don't have to use two different colors. You could use one color, you could use 4 different colors, every row could be a different color, you know, it's completely up to you. Also for this project you could also use a lighter weight yarn or heavier yarn if you want. Just keep in mind that this project does tend to be, as what they say, a yarn eater. It uses up quite a bit of yardage. So if you do have a nice big skein of worsted weight yarn that you want to get rid of, this might be a great project for that. But again, you could use a smaller hook if you wanted to, and then it wouldn't use up as much yarn. But I kind of like the way it looks with the big hook, so just decide what is best for you. So we're going to get started, and you're going to make a slip knot. Now the nice thing with this project is you can make this scarf as long as you want. The one in the sample is a pretty long scarf. I like very long scarves, but if you don't want a scarf that long, you just certainly don't have to. And determine the length of your scarf, you're going to work a chain, and you're going to work an even amount of chains. So for this sample, it's going to be a little swatch actually. I'm just going to chain like 16. Okay, 16. Now for the sample scarf, if you wanted a very long scarf and you were using a J hook and worsted weight yarn, I chained 200. So again, you could chain 150, 158, 116. As long as it's an even amount, you're good to go. So for row 1, what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, and you're going to work in the back bump of the chain, and you're going to be working in the 3rd chain from your hook. So 1, 2, 3, here is our 3rd bump. I'm going to insert my hook in that bump, and we are going to yarn over and pull through 1 loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over again. We're going to go right back in that same loop, pull up another loop. Now we have 5 loops on our hook. So now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 of those loops. And to finish off this stitch, we're going to make what I like to call an eye, which you're just chaining 1, but it creates like a little eye so you can kind of see. And there we go. And I will have a written pattern for this. Some people don't like videos, so I will have a written pattern as well, and you can just check in the video if you're not sure of something. So I have created the first stitch. We have our little eye there. So what we're going to do is yarn over. We're going to work right in this same stitch, so right back in, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops. We're going to yarn over again, go right back in that loop. Now we have 5 loops. So now we're going to yarn over again. You're going to skip 1 chain, and we're going to work in the next chain. So insert your hook, back bump of the next chain, yarn over, pull through a loop. So now we have 7 loops on our hook. We're almost done. We're going to yarn over, go right back in that stitch, pull up a loop. Now we have 9 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 9 of those loops. And to finish off this stitch, we are going to chain 1 and create our eye. So there's our eye right there. So now we're going to head into the repeat here. So you're yarning over, you're going right back in that same stitch, pulling up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, go right back in. So now we have 5 loops, yarn over, we're going to skip the next chain, go right into the next chain, pull up a loop. We have 7. Oops. This isn't very splitty yarn, but I managed to do it. Alright, so we have 7, and yarn over, go right back in. Now we have 9. So once you have your 9 loops, you're going to yarn over, pull through all 9 loops. So you can kind of see why it is a little bit of a yarn eater. A lot of yarn overs, and that happens sometimes. So let's do that again. Alright, so we're going right back in. I'm going to do this real quickly here. get right back where we started from. And this does work up fairly quick. Just want to be careful when you're working through all 9 of those. Finish up that guy and you've worked your eye. So now we're going to go back, work in that same stitch, 3 loops. So your first part you have 5 loops. You yarn over, you skip the next chain, you go into the next one, and then you're going to pull up, because you can kind of see it's in 2 parts. So you have 5 here, and then you want to have 4 on the other side for a total of 9. So there's your 4 for a total of 9. So you can kind of see how it's split there. And then you pull through all 9 of those loops and finish it off with your chain 1 to create your eye. So I'm going to finish up until we get almost to the end of the chain, and then I will show you what to do when you get to the end of the chain. Okay, so I am almost to the end of my chain here. I've got my first half of my stitch there, the 5 loops. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to skip this next chain, I'm going to work in the next. So what you will do is you will work to the second to the last chain for this first row. So I'm going to finish up with my total of 9 stitches. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 9 of those, work my chain 1 to create my little eye there, and then you'll have 1 more chain. So for your last chain you're just working a half double crochet and row 1 will be complete. So obviously this is just a little swatch. Yours would be much longer because you're working a scarf, but that's what it would look like. But again, much longer. Okay, so now we're going to get ready for row 2, and row 2 is going to be the repeat for the rest of the pattern. So row 1 was your setup row, and then row 2, yeah, row 2, you're going to just keep repeating until your scarf is as wide as you would like. So what we're going to do is chain 2. Okay, so we've chained 2, we've turned for row 2, we're going to yarn over, we're working right in the space where my finger is poking through. Insert your hook right in there, pull up your loop so you have 3. We're going to yarn over again, go right back in that space. Now we have 5, just like we did in the beginning of this. And we're going to pull through all 5 of those and then chain 1 to create a little eye. So the eyes are going to start to become important. Right now, you know, before you were probably like, what the heck, an eye, but now they're going to actually become important. So to the next part of row 2, we are yarning over, we're going to insert our hook right in the eye that we made. So that's the eye, or chain 1, pull up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, go right back in. So now we have 5 loops. So we're going to finish up this stitch, we're going to yarn over, we're going to go to the next eye right here, insert our hook in that eye, pull up a loop, yarn over, go right back in. Now we have 9 loops, just like we did in the first, or for row 1. Now we're working in the eye. So now we're going to pull through all 9 of those loops, and carefully, hopefully I can do it fairly seamlessly. All right, success. And to finish it off, we're going to chain 1 to create another eye. So now we're going to go right back in this stitch, this eye here, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over again. And it's just like before, where this first half of the stitch, you're going to have the 5 loops. So we're yarning over, we're going to go to the next eye and work on the second half of the stitch where you're going to have 4 loops. And 5 plus 4 is 9. Math. Gotta love it. Not really. So we have our 9 loops, but math is important in crocheting, and pull through all 9 of those loops. And there we go. And finish it off with our chain 1, creating our eye. So we're just going to continue working down this row. Okay, so we are getting close to the end. We're almost done. We actually are going to work in this little eye here. This is the, with the 5 stitches that we pulled through, there is a little eye there. So if you think that there isn't, there is. So we're going to yarn over, go right back in that guy, pull up our loop, yarn over, Got our 5 loops, yarning over, and now we're going to work in that eye there. So let's to curl up and then hide what I'm trying to do here. So now we have our 9 loops. We are almost done row 2, so we've pulled through all 9 of those. Now we're going to finish her off by chaining 1, and we are going to work in this last stitch. So you can see right here is our little hole there. We're going to work a half double crochet right in there. Okay, so we're going to work our half double crochet, as I said before, right in that little hole there, and finish it up. And row 2 is completed. So it kind of looks like little stars. There's the center of the star, and at least I think it does, or flowers, I guess you could say. So what I'm going to do is I actually will show you how to introduce a new color, and the fringe for this scarf. Now you certainly don't have to add a fringe, but I like to have a little bit of a fringe just to, you know, give it that little something extra. So I'm going to show you what how to do that. We're not going to cut this if you're going to want to work the fringe. Now if you just wanted one color, then you will, you know, keep working your rows, repeating row 2 for however long you want your scarf. But I'm going to show you what you want to do, or what you can do, so you have less ends to weave in if you want to have more colors, and how to incorporate the fringe. So I'm going to switch to my other color, and I gotta find her. There she is. So for row 3 we're going to be using this brown. So I'm finishing up. I don't like to tie knots, so you won't ever see me tie knots. I'm not a knot fan. If you like to do knots, that's, you know, your choice. There's no crochet police. That's just me. So I'm going to leave this guy hanging, and we are going to work row 3 real quick. So we're chaining 2, turning, and it's a repeat of row 2. So there's our little space. We're going to work right in there, yarn over till we have, keep pulling up loops so you have 5 loops, pull through all 5, finish off our stitch with that eye. Now we're going to go to the next eye here, yarning over. We have our 5 loops, go to the next eye, and just keep pulling up loops till you have a total of 9, and then you pull through. Come on. I swear it's not that hard. It seems like it's harder when, of course, when I'm doing it on camera. Alright, so we're going to go right back in that stitch. So we've got our 5 loops, yarning over. So when you go back in the stitch, working in the eye, you will always yarn over first. And finish her off. Oh, the yarn split. Well, we're going to keep on going. Right back in that stitch, and go back to the next eye. And I've got my 9 stitches, and we didn't split. Yay! So in the sample one, I just used 2 colors, and I just had 1 stripe of a color, and I'm not sure how many rows I worked. Of course, I didn't bring the sample on a second floor, and my sample's on my first floor, so should have done that. Then I could tell you how many rows I worked. But so we're almost done row 3. And this would make a really nice thick scarf. So if you live somewhere where it's very cold, now here we are with our little eye here. You don't want to forget him, because sometimes it can kind of get crunched up and you're like, oh, it's not there, but it is. So again, if you live in a really cold climate, this would be a great winter scarf. Or, you know, you could make a lighter weight one, and you know, that would, I think it would look pretty in a thinner yarn as well. Just choose the right hook size. Okay, so now we are at our last, and see that little hole right there. It's kind of like a little half double crochet, and work a half double crochet at the end. So we've completed row 3. So if you wanted to make I'm going to show you how to make the fringe. So to have less ends, and I said don't, you know, cut this guy. So what you would want to do is attach your yarn, or your yarn's already attached, I'm sorry. Put your hook, and then just grab it and then pull up your loop there. And now we are ready to start the fringe. So you would want to, you can make your chain as long as you want. I chained, I believe it was 24. So I'll do that again. And you could also work the fringe as you go along. So like the one that I made, I had a couple rows of like a peachy pink color, and then I used like a rose pink in the middle. And I just left that guy hanging, and I actually made the fringe before I finished off the rest. So you could have this, like let's say I just wanted the one row of brown, and then I would have this guy hanging out wild and free, and then I could work the fringe and then just cut it off. So I've got my 24 chains, and I put little like bubbles at the end of my fringe. So how I did that was I worked in the 4th chain from my hook, and you can work however you want in the chain, doesn't really matter for this part. So there's my 4th chain. I yarned over and I pulled up a loop just like I was working a double crochet. So I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to repeat that until I have 4 loops. So I yarned over, go right back in that chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got 3 loops. Going to do it one more time. Yarn over, pull through the 2. So now I have my 4 loops. So then what I did is I pulled through all 4. So I've got my little bubble. Now I'm going to go right back in my chain and just work a slip stitch all the way up. Now if you didn't want the little bubble in the end, you could just you know, work as long of a chain as you want, and then just slip stitch across if you don't like the little bubble. But I wanted to make it a little fun. Why not? You know, let's just go for it. I think it's a little fun. Not something you see every day. So I'm just slip stitching up my chain. Yeah, okay, let's try that again. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, so I'm in my last chain. I'm at the top. Now what I did was I created 2 for each row. So I had 2 fringes for each row. So this, because the rows are kind of wide. Now you certainly don't have to do that if you, but yeah, that's what I did. So I have the 1, so then I went back, because right here is row 1. Then I just went right back in there, slip stitch, and then I worked another chain 24. So there's my 24 chains. Yarn over, I'm working in the 4th chain for my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like you were working a double crochet. So I've got 3 loops, going to pull through 2, and I'm just going to go right back in there and repeat what I just did until I have 4 loops on my hook. And there's my little bubble, and then I'm going to go back and slip stitch up my chain. Okay, so now I have finished 2 of the little fringes. I've got my little bubbles here on the end, and what I did in my sample is, since I have 2 rows of this green, then I would make another 2 of the fringe. So then I would have a total of 4. So for each row I did 2 things of fringe. You certainly don't have to do that. And then of course for the other side you will need to attach the yarn. You know, you would just attach the yarn and, you know, work your 24, or again you could, you know, make your fringe as long as you want. and then just repeat however many you did on this side. So that does help eliminate some ends. I mean, you still will have some ends on this side, but you know, if you can leave it hang, or even let's say you wanted a thinner scarf, so you have 2 rows of the green, 1 row of the brown, and then 2 more rows. Eventually you would need to cut this yarn to attach the green, to finish up your other 2 rows. So before you cut, just let this guy hang, do the fringe on this side, and then once you would finish up your other 2 fringes, then cut it, and then you can attach your yarn here and then finish off. So it just helps to eliminate a little bit of ends, less weaving in the better. So again, just repeat row 2 here until however you want your length of your scarf, and then work your fringe on each side. Then of course you would want to block, or well, if you want to, you can block your scarf if you need to, and you would absolutely need to weave in your ends. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and thank you so much for watching.